What's the Dillioskis? It's time for the second message of the day, baby. And this one actually is going to apply to the fellas. My fellas, I need y'all to hear me on this. And I notice this may not be a popular opinion amongst men, especially amongst single men, but I need you to hear me on this. Don't be a slave to the bottom half of a woman. And I'm trying to say this in the most family-friendly way possible. You know, don't be a slave to the sex. Don't be a slave to the, I gotta go chase and go hit the most prettiest woman there is. Like, after I knock down one, I gotta go get another. And once again, I'm not criticizing nobody's lifestyle. I'm not criticizing what nobody do. Look, I probably did it longer, wilder, and worser than you ever did and you ever will do. But look, I was one of the most notorious bottom half smackers. I was the most notorious bottom half chaser. Like, that was me. Like, you want to talk about a problem with lust addiction? Put my name in that book, because that was me. I had issues. Like, I just loved women. I just loved all types of women. But this is what I had to learn about that mindset and that behavior of not being committed and not being loyal to one woman. When you become a slave to the bottom half of a woman, when you become a slave to sex, as a man, it stops you from forming goals. It distracts you from getting actual real things done that can not just help you, yourself, your family, but can help other people. Like, you put yourself in a box to where, like, that's all you think about. Like, that's all that matters. And when you do that, you don't live up to the full potential of your life. You don't live up to what God created you to do. God said, multiply and be fruitful. God said, have dominion over the fowl of the sea, over the fowl of the air, the creeping things of the earth. Like, God wants you to have dominion over this place, and you can't have that dominion if you a slave to the butt. If every time when a new pretty girl walks by, you can't help it. Like, I just gotta get at them. Like, look, that's not even mature. I had to learn. I know this ain't popular, but that's not mature. That's not maturity. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verse 11 says, when I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. And I learned that when I became a man, or when I was ready to become a man, having a lust addiction and going after pretty woman, that was a childish thing that I had to put away. So I got married to my wife. We were living together. We were shacking up before we got married. I got her pregnant before we got married. All that was not pleasing to God. It wasn't. I'm not criticizing you. I'm telling you about me. What I did wasn't pleasing to God. And because it wasn't pleasing to God, I wasn't able to reap the benefits out of the relationship between man and woman that God designed me to reap. So I made a choice one day. I took a leap of faith. It was a point in my life where I could never see myself dedicated and committed to one woman. There was a time in my life where I didn't think I could ever be loyal. Like, it was out. Like, that's not my culture. That's not how I grew up. I grew up in the streets. Like, they taught us, like, you really don't even, you know what I mean? Like, you don't do that. Like, you got to have 3 or 4 of them lined up. But I had to learn. That's not the way to be, and that's not the way to think if you want to be someone that is trying to accomplish big things. Like, if you are trying to change the world, if you are trying to give people something of value, if you're trying to run a successful business, if you're trying to be successful, that's not the mindset you want to have. You don't want to be a slave to the bottom half. Don't be a slave to the bottom half. Because when you're a slave to the bottom half, that dictates your life. That dictates what you do. I get money. Why? Because I want to be flashy and get these women. I go to school. Why? Because I want to look smart and I want to get these women. I want this high position in work. Why? Because I want to look like I got status and I want to get these women. Nah, man. I mean, that's cool. Look, when you a slave to the bottom half, that's a low level of thinking. Think about it. The bottom half, lower level. When you become attracted to their character and their personality, that's spiritual. Because spirit is about character. And then when you do that, then you thinking with a higher level of thinking. You thinking with a higher standard. You got these women on Instagram and stuff, and you know, they just showing things off, and they thinking like they gonna attract, you know, a certain type of man like that. Like you're gonna get a man of low level thinking. Like that's just what it is. So I'm telling you today, if you trying to go to the next level, then having a lust addiction and being a slave to the bottom half of a woman is a mindset and a way of thinking that you can't take with you. Like if you trying to level up, that's one thing you're going to have to change. Some of y'all been with these women for 3, 5, 7 years and y'all still ain't married. Stop that, my man. I'm telling you, if you ready to have a successful business, if you ready to have a successful life, marry that girl. There's some good women out here. There's some good women out here. And some of y'all just passing them up because you're a slave to the bottom half of it. Marry that girl. Find you a girl to marry, man. Start you a family. I got a beautiful family. I got 5 beautiful kids. I love it. Don't get me wrong. When I come home and soap's all over the bathroom counter and a roll of toilet tissue is in the toilet, yeah, it might drive me a little bit crazy. When I hear them fighting in the room, yes, it might drive me a little bit crazy. But when I wake up and I see them kids sleeping peacefully at Christmas time, when I see how happy they are when they open their gifts, when we take them to basketball, baseball practice, this and that, it's a joy. It's a pleasure. I apologize this one was so long, but I just want to emphasize, don't be a slave to the bottom half. Get you a good woman. Marry you that woman. Start setting some goals. Before you create a baby, create a business. Before you just jump into that and create a whole nother life, create you something that's going to help other people. Don't create something just out of your lust. Create something out of your heart and your intellect and your wisdom and your love for life and other people with that woman. Come on, it's some good woman out here. Let's get it, baby. BTB up in this thing. You know what it is.